Welcome to Math 213 IN1 at SWEC for the fall 2022 semester. My name is Jennifer Simonton and I am your instructor for this course. I just wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through the highlights of the syllabus and to explain everything that you need to know to get started off on the right foot and help you to be successful this semester. So just a little introduction real quick here. My name again is Jennifer Simonton. I've just finished teaching at SWEC my 20th year. And over those last 20 years, I have taught everything from basic algebra up through differential equations. Okay, and all of those courses that I've taught, calculus is my favorite one. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is if you're watching this video, that means you have either seen the email that I have sent out or you've logged into Blackboard and found the announcement there. So if you have not yet logged into Blackboard, that's the first thing you're going to need to do. To find the syllabus and follow the instructions that are in there about getting started. Okay, so when you log into Blackboard, this is the screen you're going to see first. Okay, so over here on the left side, the announcements, that's what is going to pop up first. Every week on Monday, I'm going to send out an announcement letting you know what assignments, or just a reminder with all the assignments that are due that week, and just to check in to see if anybody has any questions about anything. That will also go out as an email, just as today's did. All right, then next over here is the syllabus tab. So if you click on that, there's a document here that we're going to go through together today that'll explain all the information you need about how to find assignments, how grading works, how to take tests, when things are due, okay, and all that stuff. Over here, again, under that tab is access code. We'll talk about what that is. That's where you get the access code to access my math lab, which is where all of the assignments will be done. Right? Once you have done all of that and gotten set up in my math lab, this link that says my math lab is where you'll go to actually do your work. So you'll log into Blackboard and click that link and it'll take you to your assignments. Course content, I'm just going to click on this one real quick. We'll talk about this in the syllabus in just a second. But this has two folders, lecture videos and lecture notes. Okay, so in the lecture notes folder, there are subfolders split up by test. So all the material for test 1, test 2, test 3, and then there's a few things after that that we'll cover. So if you click on material for test number 1, there's a bunch of files that contain a PDF copy of all of the notes that you will follow along with in the video. So if you want to print those out ahead of time, here they are. Okay. In the lecture video folder, same setup here. So if I click on all the videos for test number 1, these will take you to a YouTube video of me hearing me explain all of the information and examples in that section that you will be seeing in the notes. Okay, so you'll see on the screen the notes that are in the other folder will pop up, and you'll hear me voice over and go through and walk you through step by step on how to do each of those problems. Okay, so this is kind of where you get the content information, the equivalent of going to class, right, for a lecture. Okay, all right, so that is from that folder. All right, grades, this is where you're going to go. All grades will be transferred from my math lab into Blackboard. Okay, so you can find them in my math lab, but it's probably easier if you're going into Blackboard to get to my math lab anyway. Just click right here and it'll give you updated grades. As you do the assignments in my math lab, there is a slight delay. So you might finish an assignment in my math lab and shows you got 100%, and then go over to Blackboard, it might not be in there immediately. Just give it a little bit of time. Usually within about 15 minutes or so it will update. If you need help with Blackboard, just the Blackboard interface itself, it's here. Testing center information on that tab is just links to our website that gives you hours and locations of our testing center, their rules and guidelines, and then how to request an appointment to take a test. Okay, we'll talk about it in the syllabus in a minute, but proctored testing is a requirement of our math department at SWIC, even for online classes, so you will have to plan to come to campus to take your exams. There are 3 regular tests and a final, so it'll be 4 times during the semester that you'll have to come to campus. We have testing centers at Belleville campus and at Granite City, and they have varying hours on different days. Some of those days have evening hours to help accommodate people's schedules, but that is a requirement of this course. And then this tab is Success Center information. So we have a free tutoring center on both, again, Granite City and Belleville campuses that gives you information about what they offer, when they're open, where they're located, and then this is just a document that kind of summarizes all of that stuff. And then if you need tutoring but can't come to campus during their hours for that, they do offer online. So that's the Scotty link. So if you just click here and then click on this link, it'll take you to the tutoring services that are offered online rather than in person. Okay, all right, so let's go back here to the syllabus, and we'll open that up and go through that. Okay, so at the very beginning here is just, again, general information about the course. My name, it's a 4-credit-hour class, internet, so for the most part you are able to work on your own, okay, at home. There's no certain set time for classes or anything like that, but there are due dates for things, so just make sure you're getting things done by their due date, but you can work at them on your own time. All right, this is just my office phone number and extension. If you want to leave me a voicemail, it's probably better to just send me an email instead. I'll see that much faster than I will a voicemail message. And then if you're on campus and want to see me, my office is on the Belleville campus in the main complex, room 2047. My scheduled office hours this semester are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 10 to 10:50, and then on Wednesdays from 9 to 9:50. If those times are not good for you, or you would prefer to meet with me via Teams virtually instead of in person, just send me an email and we'll set up a time. Okay, that's no big deal. All right, again, communication, email is the best way to reach me quickly. Okay, I will try to respond to email within 24 hours, or although normally it's much faster than that, because I check my email frequently throughout the day, evenings, weekends, etc. Also, you should make a habit of checking your SWIC email several times a week. Okay, every Monday or so, you're going to get a reminder or a check-in email from me, but feel free to send me emails with questions anytime. All right, also, all those emails that I send out, communication will also be posted as announcements in Blackboard. Okay, so if you're logging into Blackboard every day, that would give you all that same information. All right, like I said just a second ago, proctor testing is a requirement of this course, no exceptions for that. Okay, you'll need to plan to come to campus to take required tests in the final, and we'll talk more about how that works a little bit later on in this syllabus. All right, the course descriptions, prerequisites, objectives, if you're interested in that, you can read that stuff on your own. It's just a detailed list of all the topics we're going to cover and things you're supposed to know by the end. Here, textbook course materials. All right, so I mentioned My Math Lab. You're required to sign up for that. You do not need to purchase anything separately. That's all provided, and we'll walk through that process in just a second. But you'll sign up for My Math Lab. It'll include everything, all your course materials and assignments using the access code provided by me in Blackboard. That was that link over on the left. The step-by-step instructions for how to go through that process and get registered in this course is on pages 7 and 8 of this syllabus document. All right, this is the book we're using. Again, you do not have to purchase a hard copy, but if you'd like to, this is what it is. There is an e-text provided in My Math Lab, so that's not something you have to buy. You will need a graphing calculator. I recommend the TI-84 if you're going to go buy one, but if you have a TI-83 or something else, that's fine. The only restriction on that is on tests. When you come to take tests, you can't have any graphing calculator that has a CAS in it. Okay, meaning a computer algebra system. So like the TI-83 is fine, the TI-84, the Inspire, regular Inspire is perfectly fine. But if it says Inspire CAS, C-A-S, or if it's the TI-89, those are not allowed on tests. Okay? All right, grading procedure. Again, everything will be done automatically in My Math Lab. All tests, including the final, are given at a testing center of your choice, either the Granite City location or Belleville. All other assignments, which are going to include the homework assignments and then the reviews for the test, are completed on your own at home. It is an online course, but it's not self-paced. Okay, there's a penalty if you do not get homework done by the due date. You are allowed to work on it afterwards, but you'll be deducted points. And tests are due by the due date, no exceptions. All right, and then there's a calendar at the last page of the syllabus that outlines all of that stuff. All right, grading procedure. The homework assignments collectively are going to make up 10% of your grade, 50 total points. The test reviews are 5% of your grade, so they are worth points, just not a lot of points, but they are your study guides for the test, so they're important. So you'll have 3 of them because they're 3 regular tests. Each of those are worth 5 points a piece, and then the last one, which is the review for the final exam, so it's longer, is worth 10 points. All right, so a total of 25 points for the reviews. Tests collectively are worth 60% of your grade, so those 3 regular tests are worth 100 points each, 300 points. And then the final exam is worth 25% of your grade, 125 points. Okay, but that grades tab over here on this left side of the Blackboard screen will keep track of all of those as they are done throughout the semester. So you can check your grade anytime by clicking on that tab. All right, so you'll have to be able to use both Blackboard and MyMathLab to be successful in this course. All right, so before you begin homework, like we looked at a minute ago, open, view, and take notes on your lecture videos posted in under the Course Content tab in the Lecture Videos folder. Please do not skip that step, okay? That is the equivalent of going to class, all right? You have to learn the material before you are going to be able to successfully do the homework and actually understand what you're doing, all right? So you have to make time for that. And then the actual notes that you see in those videos on the screen are posted as PDFs in the lecture notes folder. All right, homework is assigned in MyMathLab for every section of the textbook that we will cover. It's set up as a learning tool, so you will have unlimited attempts to get a problem correct. Pay attention to due dates, okay, because there'll be a penalty if they're not done by the due date. And then again, homework is worth 50 points total for the whole semester. So when I say unlimited attempts, when you go into MyMathLab, once you've got all that set up and you click on an assignment, all right, and you're doing a problem, it'll give you a few tries to get it right initially. I think it's 3 attempts for most questions. So if you put in an answer 3 times and it's wrong all 3 times, it'll finally say, sorry, here's the right answer. And it'll mark it wrong. But then there's going to be a box that'll pop up and it'll say continue, meaning move on to the next question and just get this one wrong. Or it'll say similar question. So if you click this similar question, it'll give you a new problem, just changing the numbers around, and you'll get to try it again. You can do that as many times as you want, and if you eventually get it right, you get full credit for that problem. Okay, so just keep in mind that even if you've gotten it wrong on the first a few tries and it marks it wrong for you, if you click similar problem, you get to do it until it's correct and not lose any points. Okay, it's set up as a learning tool. That's how you learn math. Okay, as you do it, you make mistakes, you fix your mistakes, and you continue that process. All right, test reviews. Again, each test has a review assignment. Those are the study guides. Every question that you see on the actual test is similar to something you've seen in the review. All right, the reviews are longer, so they're not everything on the review is on a test, but there's nothing on a test that's not somewhere in the review. So those are important. All right, they are set up as homework assignments, so you don't have to do them all in one sitting. Right? They're not timed. Okay, it's just kind of a study guide. However, there are some help buttons in MyMathLab for homework. View an example is one of those resources. You do not have access to that on the test reviews. Okay, you can click help me solve this sometimes. You can watch a video from Pearson about it. You can ask my instructor and send me an email about, getting my feedback. But the view an example is disabled for the test reviews. Okay, because on the actual test you have nothing, right? You just have to do it and you don't have any help provided, okay? And also there is a limit to 4 attempts. So you can only click that similar question on the test review 4 times. Usually that's plenty of time to get it right, okay? But unlike homework, it's not unlimited, all right? And then like we said before, each of those test reviews are worth 5 points. Pay attention to due dates. Those cannot be done late. So those are due by the due date, and if they're not done by the due date, you just don't get credit. All right, tests. Again, for each, we have 3 separate tests, each cover a few chapters of material. Tests are worth 100 points. They have to be taken at a SWIC testing center. You must make an appointment with the testing center before you can take the test, and you're required to have a photo ID when you show up. It does not have to be a SWIC ID, but it has to be something with your name and photo on it. When you get there, they will sit you at a computer. You'll log into MyMathLab, click on your assignments, and click on the test you want to take. It'll prompt you for a password. You'll have to wait for the proctor of the testing center to come enter the password. Make sure you tell them which test you're on so they know what to put in. Once you click start, you have 75 minutes, so it's time to complete the test. When you're finished, you click submit, and then you're allowed to use an approved calculator on every test. So just as long as it's not a CAS or your cell phone. Okay, they'll make you put your cell phone away in a locker before you start anyway, so that's not allowed. All right. Final exams, basically, so the final exam review is just like a test review, just longer, so it's worth 10 points instead of 5. And then the final exam is also, it's a comprehensive exam. It covers everything, so you have more time, 2 hours, again, in the testing center, and the date that has to be done is December the 15th. It can be done early, but no later than that date. All right, so in MyMathLab, if you've worked in MyMathLab before, you might be familiar with this, but the way that works is it will give you a grade at the end of the test and tell you what your score is automatically. Okay, so what it does is I have a points value assigned to each question, all right, and based on how many parts there are, it divides that up accordingly. So if there's only one blank to fill in and it's a 5-point question and anything you type in is wrong, in like a number's wrong or the formatting is wrong or anything, it will give you 0 points. All right, so as you're doing your work, they'll give you some scratch paper. Keep track. Okay, if you have to write stuff down to do the problem, just number it as you go. It doesn't have to be in order, but it needs to be somewhat organized, like this is number 4, and here's what I'm doing or whatever. And then you turn that back into the testing center, they will get that back to me. I go through every single test afterwards and look at every single question on every single person's test and give partial credit when I can. Sometimes I don't need the scratch paper to give you partial credit. For example, if the answer is 5 and that's all that they wanted, but you typed x equals 5, it'll mark that wrong because it's not the right format. Okay, so I can just look at that and go, that's correct, and give you full credit. Sometimes the answer is just wrong, and I don't know why it's wrong, but if it's a 5-point problem, I can find it in your scratch paper, and I can see a process and see, oh, you just made one little mistake, I can give you 4 points out of 5 instead of 0. Okay, so it's important to remember that because almost always when you see your initial score on a test, that is it is always worst case scenario. I'll never lower that grade, but almost always you end up with a higher grade than that after I've taken the time to review and give you partial credit. So don't freak out if your score isn't, you thought you did fairly well and then the score does not show that. That's likely going to change after I have reviewed all of those exams. Okay, late makeup work. There are due dates for everything, okay? Homework, this does not include test reviews, but just regular homework. You are allowed to complete those late, but there's a 15% grade deduction. The deadline for submitting all late homework is Sunday, December the 11th. So if you didn't get an assignment started at all and you have a 0 on it and it's past the due date and you want to go in later, like all homework is pretty much due like on a Friday. So say you didn't get one of those assignments done, you had to do it on Saturday, and you get 100% on it, but it's late, you'll actually just get 85% instead of 100. So there's that deduction. It only applies to questions done late. So if you did half of it on time, but didn't get the other half done and did the other half late, you'll only be deducted 15% for the half you did late. So overall, you might get a 90 something. Okay. For tests, there are no makeup privileges. Okay. If you don't get a test done by the due date, it's a 0. At the end of the semester, one missed test score can be replaced with your final exam score. So there are only 3 tests, okay? So if you miss one, it's not the end of the world, because if you take the final, whatever you get on the final goes in as that test grade. If you miss more than one, though, one of them is going to be a 0, okay? So with only 3, there should be no reason why anybody hopefully doesn't have to miss any, but definitely not more than one. Also, if you take all 3 tests, but your final exam scores higher than your lowest test, I'll also make that replacement to help your grade out a little bit. So you don't have to miss a test for that replacement to happen necessarily, but definitely if you miss one, it can be filled in by the final. This is sort of the attendance policy for online classes, since you're not really attending in person. For online remote learning, you must demonstrate ongoing participation in Blackboard and MyMathLab. It means that you're maintaining regular communication with me. That doesn't mean you have to send me an email every week. It just means that you have to be logging in and doing your work. Okay, and I can see that when I look in MyMathLab, the date that you've logged in and submitted things. All right, so if you're keeping up on that stuff, that's all you have to do. Okay, if you are not active in the course prior to the 10th day roster, meaning you haven't sent me any communication at all, you haven't gotten into MyMathLab yet through the first 10 days, you're going to get withdrawn. Or does not communicate with me over a period of 7 consecutive days before our drop date, which is November 7th. So if you go more than a week without doing any work or logging in, you might get withdrawn. It just kind of depends on the situation. So, if something's going on where that's something that's going to happen, make sure you communicate with me about that. After November 7th, I am not able to submit a W. There's a new withdrawal policy this semester. The date has been moved up to November 7th, and after that, I cannot submit a withdrawal, and you cannot drop yourself after that date either. So that's the date you have to decide whether you're going to stick out this end of the semester and complete the course, or if you need to withdraw. All right, most of these other things are pretty self-explanatory, not really things that are going to affect you directly, but so you can read that on your own. If you do have accommodations from our Disability and Access Center, just send me the paperwork for that, and that's not a problem. This is just college, the catalog definition of cheating. My policy on cheating is basically if you're caught cheating on a test, first offense, you get a warning. Second offense, you get a 0 submitted for that test with no option for replacement. And the third offense, you're just given an F in the course. Let's see. Academic rigor, this just means, obviously in an online class, you're going to have to spend some time on your own doing work. The rule on average is, if this is a 4 credit hour class, that means you should be spending on average 8 hours a week on doing studying and homework. Doesn't mean that everybody has to do that, but that's just kind of letting you know what the expectation is. COVID safety precautions, pretty much how it was in the spring. Not a whole lot has changed there. Additional information, if you'd like to read through that on your own, that's fine. This is just a reiteration of the new drop policy. Effective this semester, you are responsible for withdrawing from the course through eStorm or through submitting a form in person, and the deadline to do so is Monday, November the 7th. All right. Next page here, these are the step-by-step instructions on how to get signed up and get registered in MyMathLab. All right, so you're going to log into Blackboard, click on our course, click on that link over here that says access code, okay, right here. Then a screen will pop up where you may not have 4 courses and 4 materials, okay, it just depends on how many courses you're signed up for that are using Pearson, but make sure if you have more than one that you're finding the one that says Calculus for Business and Social Science, and then there'll be this little green button here that'll say Reveal Access Code. So you'll click on that, it'll give you a code. You're going to copy it or write it down on paper, okay, go back to your Blackboard page, click on MyMathLab. Okay, you'll see this screen, click on any of those links and it'll start the registration process. All right, if you've never used Pearson before, they'll ask you to accept agreements, just follow the instructions. Okay, then create and log in. If you've used Pearson before, you won't have to do that. All right, you'll just go straight into your sign in. All right, just signing in. And then when it pops up this page for a payment, you're just going to click that you have an access code because you've already written that down or copied it. And then when it prompts you to put it in, you'll put it in and you should be good to go. Okay, if you have trouble with that or that doesn't work correctly, let me know. All right, then there's also help via Pearson through here. All right, once you get all that done and you're in MyMathLab, then you can just click on the MyMathLab link and access your homework. Okay, so let me just show you real quick how that would work. All right, once you have all that done and you're registered, if you come to here, right, you can just click right here on MyMathLab assignments, and then there they are. Okay, and then you click on homework for R2, assuming you've already watched the video and taken notes on that. And then there are the questions, right? And you can click. Let's just go through this real quick here in case you've never done this before. Most people, or some people, I think, have probably done MyMathLab and know what this is going to look like. All right, so first question, is this correspondence a function? Yes or no? All that's explained in the video, right? You click one. Now, on multiple choice, if it's just a yes or a no question, it's only going to give you one try. It's not going to give you 3 tries, right? But anyway, you kind of go through that, and question 2, same thing. When you're done, you're just going to click save. I didn't answer any questions, so it didn't give me any credit, but say I had done a couple, it'll check them off as being completed, then you can pick up where you left off the next time. Okay? All right. So that is that part. Go back here to syllabus. Need to close that out. All right, so let's see. All right, this last page is your calendar. This is a good thing just to have handy that lets you know what for each week, what you have to be doing. Good time management is key, especially in an online course. Please work ahead when possible. Just because the due dates are on Fridays doesn't mean you need to wait till Friday of every week to do work. Okay, because if you wait till, Friday the 26th at 9 p.m. to start 4 sections of homework, it's going to be frustrating, okay? And it's going to seem like that's a lot, all right? So you have the whole week. This is just when all of that has to be completed by to avoid a penalty, all right? All right, so our first week starts the 20th on Saturday, and so all these weeks run Saturday through Friday, okay? So week number 1, these are the 4 assignments that are due. Okay, you can get started on them right now if you'd like to. Okay, and you can always work ahead. All right, you never have to wait until that week to start those assignments. So if you want to knock these out over the weekend and then come, Monday or Tuesday, start on week 2, go right ahead. Okay, that's never a problem. So this first section, this is a review chapter, so those go pretty quick. So there's 4 assignments, then 3, usually about 3 assignments or 3 sections per week, typically. Test week, so here there's 1 section to wrap up. So in my suggestion here, because there's more to do, maybe try to get 2.3 done early, okay, or at least like over the weekend. Then give yourself a few days to do review number 1, and then make sure you get your appointment scheduled in the testing center and test 1 completed no later than Friday. Right? But if Wednesday is a better day for you to come to campus and take tests, fine, just plan ahead. Right? Do this stuff over the weekend and schedule your appointment for Wednesday, and then you'll be done for the week. Okay? Do not, the testing center does not accept same-day appointments. You cannot call them or try to get online and submit a request on Friday morning for an appointment on Friday. That will not work. So you have to plan ahead. I would maybe just go ahead and schedule all your test appointments early, like now. You can submit requests for all of those days that you want to come in and make sure you have your time. Okay? Because you cannot make up a test. All right, same thing here. This one, notice there's a homework assignment, but this homework assignment is not on the test. Okay, so that's why it's listed in that order. This one is. It's part of chapter 2. So here you got to do that homework first, then the review and the test. This week, I would do the review and get your test done, and then you can worry about the homework assignment after all that because it's moving on to the next thing. All right, for the third test, there's no homework that week. It's just get the review done and take the test. And then the same thing with the final exam week. Get your final exam review done and get the test done.
Notice here the due dates are not Fridays. This is the only exception to a Friday due date because the last day of the semester is Thursday the 15th, so that review needs to be done no later than Wednesday, which is the day before, and then you have to take that exam by Friday. But again, those can be done early. Okay? You don't have to wait until the end of that week to get those or that final exam completed. All right, so that's basically the end of that document. If anybody has any questions whatsoever about anything I went over or anything I didn't talk about that you're concerned about, please send me an email and ask. Okay, that's why I am here. Okay, otherwise, I'm ready to get started and have a great semester, and I hope you are too.